Willkommen zur Folge 14 des Odgłosy Sztuki Podcasts.
I warmly welcome you to the 14th episode of the Sound of Art podcast. Its topic will be the new pavilion located on the grounds of the International Youth Meeting Center in Oswiecim, Auschwitz, which houses the large installation Birkenau by Gerhard Richter. The artist is also the author of the design of the building itself. On this occasion, I would like to talk about how art can convey the experience of the Holocaust.
Wie das Menschheitsverbrechen des Holocaust durch Kunst vermittelt werden kann. Mein Gast ist Sabine Moritz-Richter, eine Deutsche.
My guest is Sabine Moritz-Richter, a German painter, printmaker, and wife of Gerhard Richter. Ms. Moritz-Richter lives and works in Cologne. For almost 30 years, in addition to her own artistic activity, she has accompanied her husband, watching his creative process. It can therefore be said that she is one of the people who knows his work best. Ms. Moritz-Richter, I am honored that you agreed to talk to me today about the series of works entitled Birkenau.
The
Birkenau Pavilion consists not only of copies of paintings printed on metal plates. It is an installation, a Gesamtkunstwerk. Could you describe its other elements? In addition to what you've already mentioned, there are 4 gray square mirrors forming a long panel in which we can see ourselves. Hanging on the wall are 4 black and white photos, which are the starting point for the entire installation.
Immer quasi sehen kann. Und an den Stirnwänden sind die 4 Schwarz-Weiß-Fotografien gezeigt, die quasi den Ausgangspunkt für das Werk ergeben haben, oder die der Ausgangspunkt waren.
So the starting point for the presented copies are paintings that were created in 2014.
Das war eine Idee.
Yes, it was my husband's original idea to have copies, duplicates. In the beginning, it was a concept to show the original paintings next to the copies in Dresden, but I don't remember exactly when. It was important to him that these be independent works.
In Dresden mal, ich weiß nicht mehr genau, wann das war. Und ihm war das wichtig, dass das eigenständige Werke sind.
From the beginning? From the beginning, what was important to him, and this is crucial, that these works, unlike others that are reproduced to be sold, will never be offered for sale. They are all intended for display in public institutions.
Die sind alle dafür bestimmt, in öffentlichen Einrichtungen zu hängen.
Why is that? This has to do with the seriousness and importance of the subject to him. Let's talk about the paintings for a moment. They were created in several stages. Please say a little bit more about the process of their creation.
Können Sie ein bisschen mehr über den Entstehungsprozess von den Gemälden sagen?
Yes, at first they were large canvases, 2.6 by 2 meters, with the original idea of transferring the photos directly onto them, and as he'd done before with his photorealistic paintings, most probably blurring them. At times I wonder if this was a foregone conclusion, as the intent was to create a monumental effect. The original photos are not large enough to be enlarged to this size. Perhaps there was also the hope that it might work, so he painted all of them blurred in black and white. As he worked, however, he realized that this wouldn't work as a painting. It would be difficult to explain. Then he began scraping, using other colors, smearing them. The process took a long time, which is often disbelieved.
Tatsächlich gemalt, in Schwarz-Weiß verwischt, und hat gemerkt, aber es funktioniert nicht als Bild, es geht nicht. Das ist schwer zu erklären. Und dann fing an abzukratzen, andere Farben zu nehmen, zu überrakeln. Und es war langwierig, was oft nicht geglaubt wird, weil das manchmal dann so eine, ja.
How long did the process take? I don't remember exactly how long the process took, but certainly several weeks. When did Gerhard Richter first see photos taken by Sonderkommando members in 1944?
Das ist auch was ich nicht genau.
I don't know exactly, but it seems to me that he knew these photos for a long time, and they remained with him. They only really caught his attention when a review of Didi Huberman's book, Images in Spite of All, appeared in the Frankfurter Allgemeine Zeitung. Since then, around 2011, one photo has always hung on the wall of his small studio. There are 2 rooms, one small, one large, and one of these photos hung by the desk.
Großes Atelier. Und da, wo sein Schreibtisch ist, hing auch immer neben anderen Dingen eins dieser Fotos.
Und der Ausgangspunkt für
The starting point for the paintings were photographs, in turn, what we see abstract paintings as an end result. Could you explain to us the bridge between the figurative and the abstract in this cycle? What was the artist's thought process?
Wie war denn diesen Gedankenprozess?
Ich glaube, ich kann es nicht besser
I don't think I can explain it any better than what I've already said. He tried to create figurative paintings, but it didn't meet his criteria and requirements for the effect he wanted. This was the solution to the situation for him. As an artist, he always looked for a way out when something doesn't work.
Als Künstler sucht man immer Auswege, wenn irgendwas nicht funktioniert.
Stimmt.
Right. What does the decision about the size of the pictures, 2.6 by 2 meters, refer to?
Es hat einen Grund, warum die Bilder, die Gemälde und auch die Faksimile so groß sind. 2,6 mal 2 Meter.
Vielleicht hat unbewusst schon
Perhaps he already subconsciously sensed that what he had in mind would only be possible with abstractions. That's probably why he chose that size. I asked him about it once, because I thought that if he stayed with the photographs, it would have been a little easier, and the paintings would have been smaller. But no. The original photographs are very small, aren't they? In contrast, the works themselves are very large. That's correct.
Und wenn wir ein bisschen mehr
I would like to ask about the status of the works themselves.
Sprechen, weil
The original paintings are in the possession of the Gerhard Richter Foundation.
Ja.
Und dann,
In addition to them, there's an additional 4. Are the originals also part of this edition?
Oder die Originalen sind auch in der Edition. Wie ist es eigentlich?
Die Bilder die gaben eigentlich auch den Ausgangspunkt.
The paintings were also the reason for the foundation, because when they were completed, he said that they would never be on the market or never be purchased by any museum. He successfully donated more paintings and drawings to the foundation, and as I said, it's important to him that everything that has to do with the paintings in the Birkenau series is not commercial in nature, not for sale, but always available to the public.
Sondern einfach immer der Öffentlichkeit zur Verfügung steht. Und deswegen sind auch
That's why these photographic versions are so important, because they can also be seen in many museums, including the Reichstag, Lebenbach House in Dresden, and now here in Oswiecim. One edition is still at the foundation.
In Oswiecim und eine ist noch in der Stiftung.
Und in der Stiftung.
Ja.
Und,
What other works does the Artist Foundation have? What task does it have?
In der Stiftung. Was ist die Aufgabe der Stiftung?
Also die anderen Bilder, da gibt es auch ein Buch.
Regarding other paintings, there's a book that you can check everything. About 2/3 of the paintings are now in Berlin, because there is a long-term collaboration with the Neue Nationalgalerie.
Kooperation mit der Neuen Nationalgalerie in Berlin. Und
1/3 are in Dresden and several other museums. The foundation's task is to present Gerhard Richter's paintings to museums and thus fill gaps in collections with works the museums have not been able to acquire or have been unable to purchase.
Wo die Museen vielleicht versäumt haben oder nicht mehr Bilder kaufen können. Also die Stiftung ist quasi, also die Bilder sind weggegeben, aber die Stiftung ist quasi nur noch so eine Art.
These paintings have been donated, but the foundation is also a vehicle for maintaining cooperation with museums, so the works are shown and do not disappear somewhere in storage. All the paintings the foundation holds are not for sale. They are permanently meant for the public.
Können nicht mehr verkauft werden, zum Beispiel. Also sind quasi dauerhaft für die Öffentlichkeit bestimmt.
The foundation has both original works and copies, correct? Yes.
Ja.
Also beide.
The Birkenau series is not the only group of works in which the artist refers to the Holocaust. Where do you think the artist's interest in the subject came from? Does this stem from his private history?
Das Interesse des Künstlers aus diesem Thema, das kommt aus seiner Privatgeschichte?
I think it comes from his personal history, his childhood. He often talked about the fate of his aunt, who was a victim of the Nazi euthanasia program. I think any sensitive person, at the time also a German, automatically deals with the subject. I think it's inevitable, especially for him, because he experienced functioning under different regimes.
So, das ist so wie ein Muss, vielleicht, ja. Und gerade für ihn noch mal besonders.
When he was born, there was still the Weimar Republic. Then came the Third Reich, then the Transitional Germany, then East and West Germany, and now a united Germany. That's quite a bit of history.
Westdeutschland, jetzt das wiedervereinigte Deutschland. Das ist schon ganz schön viel Geschichte.
Are there only abstract works that relate to this theme? Are there figurative ones?
Figurative Bilder, besonders
Figurative paintings, especially from the 1950s and the 1960s, when he created paintings based on photographs.
Fotobilder gemacht hat.
What does it mean to your husband that his paintings are in a Holocaust education institution located near a former camp about 4 kilometers away?
Circa 4 Kilometer von dem Lager jetzt, dass sie ausgestellt wurden.
I believe it's extremely important for him. It's like testing images that go back to their source, the cause. It comes to something very important, that something is kept alive, which is continuing memory.
Diese Bilder verursacht hat zurück, wo hier soll ja auch was, das ist ja ganz wichtig, dass was am Leben erhalten wird, diese permanente Erinnerung.
This is a subject that every generation has to deal with again. That's why I consider it very important that he made such a mark here.
Ich glaube, deswegen ist es sehr bedeutend, dass da so eine Markierung gesetzt hat.
And also that it was decided by former prisoners that it should come here.
So entschieden wurden, ja, dass sie hier kommen.
Ja.
Yes, we have received a lot of positive feedback and support.
Nochmal auf Ihre Frage zurückzukommen, möchte ich mit dem Grußwort, was mein Mann für den heutigen Tag geschrieben hat, schließen.
Returning to your question, I would like to conclude with the thank you note from my husband written for today's ceremony. I'm grateful to have been able to make a contribution that eases the pain of the incomprehensible cruelty of the crime while keeping its meaning alive. And it pains me I cannot be here in person today.
Und es schmerzt mich, dass ich heute nicht hier sein kann.
Thank you for your interview.
Urodził się pan w 1932 roku.
You were born in 1932. What role does your own biography or family history play for you? My aunt was in an asylum in Gwóźdź during the Nazi era. My aunt's mother and her sister sometimes cried and screamed when they returned from visits to the facility. They saw the misery prevailing there. The child unknowingly learns everything, even though I didn't want it, and preferred to be outside. Were you told this when your Aunt Marine Schonenfelder was murdered in February 1945?
Została zamordowana. Czy powiedziano panu o tym?
Tak.
Yes, I was told that they starved her there, naked, giving her medicine to do so. But death by starvation was more horrific.
Trzecia pańska konfrontacja z Holokaustem.
Your third confrontation with the Holocaust came in 2008. It was triggered by an illustration in the Frankfurter Allgemeine Zeitung, dated February 11th, 2008, with a review of a book, Bilder trotz allem, Images in Spite of All, by Georges D.D. Huberman. The photo shows the burning of corpses and prisoners doing it looking like gardeners, burning garbage. It was such a horrifying contrast to what was happening in reality.
Co działo się w rzeczywistości?
Czy ma dla pana znaczenie,
Does it matter to you that these 4 photos were taken by prisoners themselves? That's what makes them special. The photos were taken secretly in the summer of 1944 at the risk of their lives and then smuggled out of the camp. The photographer and his assistants were murdered in Birkenau.
przemycone z obozu. Fotograf i jego pomocnicy zostali zamordowani w Birkenau.
Tak, absolutnie, ponieważ...
Yes, absolutely, because they convey a completely different atmosphere, and the message in the photos we know. When I bought the book, I saw that there were 4 pictures, and at the moment the idea came to me to paint them all, and in spite of my doubts about whether this would work, whether I would be able to create images by copying them, In the fall of 2014, I began to transfer the 4 photos to canvases, quickly realized that this is impossible. So I began to scratch them off and paint over them again, until 4 abstract paintings were created. This process is not unusual, but starting with the figurative and ending with the abstract. Why can't the photograph be painted? There are simply photographs that I can only turn into bad paintings by copying them. And these 4 photographs are so good that I believe leaving them as they are. You can describe them or dedicate music to them, or at best dedicate an abstract painting to them.
Jeszcze jedno pytanie dotyczące wyjątkowego charakteru tych zdjęć.
One more question about the unique nature of these pictures. These 4 photographs are like a message sealed in a bottle and sent to the world. They want to bear witness. To what extent is this important to you? Or are you more interested in the form?
Może bardziej interesuje pana forma.
One thing passes into another here, because the testimony placed in the bottle is already a form itself, and we give it other forms to convey the content. There is no other way. And in this case, the illustrations in the book are the most effective form, which my images can at least point to. Anyone unfamiliar with the title of your series Birkenau could mistake your pictures for other abstract works that you have painted before. That's right, without the title we wouldn't recognize Birkenau. That's why I gave them that title. I've painted several abstract paintings to exude a similar austere, somber, or melancholy mood, which can be viewed even without a title. The Birkenau series is dominated by grays, blacks, and whites, just like the photographs. The use of red, green colors has been interpreted symbolically as a reference to violence or hope. There's always a desire on the part of the viewer to see and interpret something, but I've never consciously used a color that has a symbolic meaning. It works differently without thinking about it. What is the relationship between knowledge and vision? Without a title, it would be impossible to refer to. The process is similar to how I would write a sonata, like Mozart writing a requiem for a special occasion. If the word requiem is not written above the piece, it is impossible to refer to it. It affects the way that it's seen or listened to. But requiem is a much less loaded word than Birkenau. Whoever hears this title cannot and should no longer see these abstract images separately. This is also the intention in the exhibition. Also shows 4 photographs of prisoners, not as a work of art, but as a document and a memento. After all, the desire to do something and defend ourselves from misfortune, from our cruelty and wickedness, is a basic driving force. We are not only evil.
Dokonał pan porównania z muzyką.
You have made a comparison with music. Would you object if your paintings were called monuments?
Zostały nazwane pomnikami?
Nie.
Not at all.
Więc są to artystycznie słabe.
These are artistically weak, but they are taken by the prisoners themselves, these 4 iconic photos that survived. The negatives were smuggled out of the camp thanks to the great courage of a Polish woman, Helena Datoń, a civilian worker.
Wielkiej odwadze Polki cywilnej, która pracowała w Święcimiu Heleny Datoń, wywiezione poza obóz, przeszmuglowane.
That's how they reached the outside, and that's how they were smuggled into the free world. And these are 4 famous iconic pictures taken by the prisoners themselves from the area of the crematorium on the road to the gas.
Przez samych więźniów z krematorium, z okolic krematorium, z drogi do gazu. W roku 2008 Frankfurter Allgemeine
In 2008, when the Frankfurter Allgemeine Zeitung published these photos, Gerhard Richter saw them, And Gerhard Richter tells us all the time, these photos inspired him to tell us how he sees it, how it sat in him, and how it came out of him.
Do tego, żeby powiedzieć, jak on to widzi, jak to w nim się działo, jak to z niego wyszło, Richter właśnie do mnie przemawia. Ponieważ
Richter simply appeals to me, because what he has seen and what he shows, these iconic photos, these are authentic photos. They so enter my imagination, my soul, it then yields what it reflects.
że potem daje to, co daje. Niektórzy
Some people label it abstract painting incorrectly, because if, at least on me, it makes a profound impression, because it stimulates my imagination, I see much more. Then I experience much more. I believe that when each of you enter this space, you will feel much more.
że i każdy z was, kiedy wejdzie, poczuje dużo więcej. I powiem więcej.
And I'll say more. There is something in Gerhard Richter's intention. I don't know. Probably later we'll have his own narrative. I don't know if he will adhere to how I feel. But they are there in the pavilion designed by him and by Miss Sabine. And first these photos, then his paintings, and next to that there are the mirrors.
Zaprojektowany przez niego i przez panią Sabinę. Macie najpierw wszędzie, on nie ukrywa tego, te zdjęcia, potem jego obrazy, a przy tym są lustra.
In the mirror I see myself, you will see yourself. Meaning that this is not just history, because we are alive. We are confronting this. Where are you when you see this? How would you feel about it? What would you have done at that time? What would you do today if something like this was happening in the world? And that's where I see the great power of Gerhard Richter.
Kiedy coś takiego zdarza się na świecie. I w tym widzę tę wielką siłę Gerharda Richtera.